In all of the queries that we've built so far, we've focused on starting with the data that is in our tables and then filtering it using a variety of techniques. Another very powerful ability of queries is to create new columns that are calculated from the existing data columns. The advantage of this is that we don't need to actually store this data in the database. We simply calculate it when we need it and get rid of it when we don't. In our database, we have our employee's annual salary. If I open up the employees table, we can see that over on the far right side. Here, let's go ahead and close that table. We can create a query that'll calculate the biweekly paycheck amount from that salary. We'll go to the Create tab and Query Design. I'll add the employees table. I'll press Add and Close. And then from that, I'll choose the first name, last name, and I'll scroll down and double click on salary. In the fourth column is where we're going to enter in our calculation. I'm going to right click on the fourth column and go to Build to launch the Expression Builder. I can also get to the Expression Builder by clicking the Builder button up here on the ribbon. Either way will take you to the same tool. I'll use the right click menu and say Build here. And that brings up this Expression Builder. The Expression Builder is a tool that has a lot of depth, and it definitely rewards exploration. On the left side, we have an expression elements, which include groups for functions and database objects. We're going to open up the No Obstacles group here, and then the Tables group. And within the Tables group, we see a list of all the tables in our database. I'll click on the Employees table. Now in the second pane, we get a listing of all of the fields from that table. I'll scroll down, and I'll double click on Salary to add that up to the expression syntax up above. Now we just need to finish the formula. I'll say divided by 26. There's 26 pay periods in a year. We'll go ahead and say OK. And Access adds that expression into our calculated field here. It gives it a name too, EXPR1, and that's not very descriptive. So I'm going to highlight that and rename it biweekly. Make sure you keep the colon after that. Now we can go ahead and run this to see the results. Now there's a lot of decimals here, so it might not be wide enough. I'll drag this open to view the whole number. And now we can see the biweekly paycheck amount for each employee. Now we can clean up this data a little bit back in Design View. Go back to Design View, and I'll make sure that I've selected this fourth column here. Now just like when we created our columns in our tables, we had to define which data type we used, we can do the same thing here. Since we've calculated this, we can go up to the Properties sheet by opening the Properties here and telling it the format here is currency. That will clean up the numbers. Let's go ahead and close the Properties sheet and rerun it to view. Now that's a lot cleaner. Let's go ahead and create another expression. I'll go back into Design View, and in the next column over, we'll create a new expression that calculates initials from our first and last names. I'll right-click once again and go to Build. And this time I'm going to go into our Functions group. Inside Functions, we'll find a listing of functions called Built-in Functions. And then in the expression categories here in the second column, we'll scroll down until we get to our text functions. Within the text functions group, we'll find a function called left. Here. We can see when we click on it that left returns a specified number of characters from the left side of a string. I'll double click on it to add it up into my expression builder. The left function requires two arguments, a string and the length that we want. I'll click on the word string here. Now this first part is going to extract the first character from the first name. I can find the first name by going back into my No Obstacles element here, into the tables, into my employees table, and I'll double click on first name. It adds the syntax up to the top. The length, I'll click there, is going to be 1. So that'll extract the first character from our first name. Now we need to do the same thing to get the first character from our last name. I'll type an ampersand because we're going to join these two together, and we'll repeat the process. Go back up to Functions, Built-in Functions, scroll down to Text, scroll down to Left, and double click. Then where it says String, I'll click there to select it, go into my database, the tables, scrolling down into the Employees table, and finally I'll double click on the last name. The length, again, is going to be 1. We'll go ahead and say OK, and Access adds that expression down into our calculation here. Again, it gives it a new column name. I'll highlight the EXPR1 and change this to initials. Go ahead and say View to run the datasheet. And we'll see now we've got the biweekly amount in dollars, and we also have the employee's initials here as a second calculated column. The Expression Builder is a complex tool that helps build proper syntax when using calculations and formulas. I definitely recommend spending some time with the Expression Builder to take a look at some of the nearly 200 built-in functions that come with Access. And if you'd like to get some additional help using the Expression Builder, take a look at my Access 2010 Queries in Depth course available here at lynda.com.